from Censor number 90, and it's entitled, What's Wrong with America? But they mocked the messenger of God, and despised his words, and misused his prophets, until the wrath of the Lord arose against his people, till there was no remedy. 2 Chronicles 36, verse 16. For over 34 years, an insidious, cancerous growth has infiltrated itself into the American political structure and the individual characterology of our citizens. Those suffering from this ravenous tumor have hijacked America. This slow-growing cancer received the shot of sugar, its favorite food, during the 1980s and grew more rapidly, almost achieving full credibility. This invasive tumor on the United States government, put in place by fake think tanks and a noisy, whining public relations spin machine without a conscience. It lied like a 3-year-old about a liberal media bias and painted liberals as godless and decadent. Over the years, all these reactionary lies have been repeated so often that many Americans believe them. Indeed, much of America has been reduced to believing myth over truth. Many Americans wouldn't recognize the truth if it bit them on the ass. This insidious cancer that has eaten away at the American government is political conservatism. Political conservatism has co-opted God, Mom, and apple pie. This diabolical conservatism has reduced much of the electorate to voting false values instead of their own best interests. With lies and deceit, this cancerous political conservatism has morphed into an even more evil neoconservatism, a crypto-Nazism, fascism. Selected President George W. Bush labels himself a compassionate conservative, but his administration has rung up the biggest deficits in history. He cut taxes while the country is conducting 2 wars, an unprecedented act. Selected President Bush did nothing before 9/11 to fight terrorism. No one cared about it. On 9/11, while this country was under attack, selected President Bush sat frozen with fear and confusion as to what to do in a 2nd grade classroom, reading about a goat. He was lost without his puppet master, Vice President Dick Cheney, there to pull his strings. In the 8 months preceding 9/11, Dick Cheney's task force on counterterrorism never met once. When war came, the Taliban were toppled from power, and the hunt for Osama bin Laden began. But the neocons saw their chance to occupy a weakened Iraq. So they deployed resources into that country and let bin Laden get away at Tora Bora. The real war on terrorism was no longer as important as empire building and looting Iraq and the U.S. government. The myth-believing neocons expected to have Iraq handed to them by people throwing flowers and candy. What they got was an open Pandora's box of more and better armed terrorists. Why did this happen? Conservative power is said to derive from two sources. One, its congruence with American values, the nation's anomalous religiosity. And two, the elaborate infrastructure of think tanks and other institutions that stresses that congruence. 2/3 of Republicans call themselves conservative, and America's political agenda is set by the conservative right, even under President Clinton. It is said that what matters most about political ideas is the underlying emotions. The emotions underlying conservatism are a visceral individualism with religious roots and anti-statist consequences. What happened in Iraq and the fashioning of the United States Patriot Act was the simple marriage of Machiavellian neoconservatism to an ungrounded religious conservatism in a political environment with no checks and balances. The United States government has been fascistic for some time now. One-party rule and an unholy marriage between state and corporations wrapped in an unprovable religiosity. Conservatives have succeeded in altering reality by convincing many Americans, 32% down from 41%, that success is not determined by forces outside their control. Again, myth has trumped reality. Congressman Tom DeLay has many Americans believing that God is a Republican. The neoconservatives don't give a damn about God, but they'll use those who believe in God to enforce their misguided empire-building agenda. They do this with propaganda and lying. They do this with only the wealthy, well-connected, and powerful in mind. A leading light within this diabolical cabal is Attorney General John Ashcroft, who is a clone of Ronald Reagan's Attorney General Edwin Meese. Both of these human misfits were obsessed with a war against commercial pornography. For Ashcroft, it's a holy crusade. Both of these dregs of humanity wrongly believe that porn causes violence. To Ashcroft, porn is rape. Porn is murder. Porn is evil, and those who view porn are deviants. John Ashcroft had the right breast of the Spirit of Justice statue covered up. Ashcroft is leaving the Bush administration. The counterfeit Christians who make up the Christian right are the driving force behind the war on pornography. Republican activist Michelle Imard put it this way, quote, "Pornography is a battle between good and evil, one in which sides must be taken. Pornography blocks out the goodness and light in our lives. Pornography is part of the evil that is overtaking our culture and undermining the fabric of our lives. Pornography must be destroyed," unquote. The terrorist attack of 9/11 put a hold on Ashcroft's unholy crusade against pornography. But with a second term and batting 0 for 2,000 in prosecuting supposed terrorists, Ashcroft will set his sights on pornography again, or his successor. To Ashcroft and his evil counterfeit Christian minions, Pornography appeals to the prurient interest. Prosecutor Bruce Taylor defines prurient interest as shameful, morbid, lustful, lascivious, erotic interest in sex. And sex between consenting adults is only legal if it appeals to sort of normal, healthy, educational, reproductive interest. All else is legally obscene. The television show Sex in the City is on Bruce Taylor's obscene list. Demanding action behind the scenes on porn are the counterfeit Christian fascists Pat Robertson, Jerry Falwell, James Dobson, and Lou Sheldon. These counterfeit Christians regard pornographers as worse than drug dealers. And those who view porn are sick addicts who use pornography like a drug. Michelle Imard speaks for all the counterfeit Christian fascists when she proclaims that any depiction of nipples, pubic hair, or sex that is not biblically sanctioned and for the purposes of reproduction is dirty and should be against the law in our culture. Over 3.5 years ago, a 5 of 9 Supreme Court judges illegally selected George W. Bush to be President of the United States. And since then, we have seen how truly impotent we, the people, are in regard to our government being hijacked by a counterfeit Christian fascist who arrogantly continues to wed church, state, and corporate interests to the detriment of we, the people, and the general welfare. The present administration makes no pretense that America is a democracy or a republic. It's a plutocracy run by the wealthy few. Our selected president puts on a fake religious and populist face while his brown shirts deprive Americans of their jobs, health care, and their hard-won freedoms. All of this with a counterfeit values and religious tone. There are a lot of people in America who regard the values issue as the #1 political issue. From early on, these people have been taught that no liberal has values because liberals are too tolerant. For these people, the values issue trumps all other issues. These people claim they derive their values from their religion, in most cases, from the Bible. At least that is their belief. Censored has shown many, many times that this is not so. The fact is, these people are hypocrites and counterfeit Christians who actually believe in traditions and laws made by pagan humans, not the God of the Bible. The religious right plays at religion. They use it because they feel it's socially necessary for peer acceptance. They never question their beliefs and become arrogant in their ignorance. This inability to question their beliefs and their exuberant wish to wed state, industry, and religion is a real terrorist danger to our country and its Constitution. History is replete with examples of Christian religious terrorism. When these people acquire power, millions of we the people end up dying. These religious fascists are extremely dangerous. American counterfeit Christians are not at all benign, nor godly. America isn't a theocracy and wasn't established on Christian principles. America has a constitution, while the church has the Ten Commandments. The question becomes, why would those who call themselves Christians but don't obey the Ten Commandments in their own lives wish to force them on others through American law, even those who don't believe in them? Adopting the biblical frame of reference, the Bible provides the answer. The devil is behind the machinations of the counterfeit Christians. Satan loves hypocrisy. Satan is the father of the lie. Satan sanctions greed and hates the poor. Do we recognize a pattern here? The Bush administration has fulfilled end-time biblical prophecy by providing justification for the beast, the last resurrection of the Holy Roman Empire, to arise from the European Union. The thinking is that America's power must be checked. Many counterfeit Christians believe they will be raptured out of World War III, the Great Tribulation, but they won't be. Their man in Washington has made this world a more dangerous place by divesting America of its last shred of moral justification. He has ushered in the end time and the end of America. These last few years of an imperial and infallible president, one-party rule, ass-kissing of corporations, and a conservative, tilted Supreme Court has pointed up the wisdom of the Founding Fathers' invention of checks and balances in government. Without checks and balances, the people's government becomes the government of the leaders. A metastasis of this conservative cancer has even infiltrated America's safety net for its poor and needy. As if America were a third world nation, this malevolent force took over our government without a shot being fired. This malevolent force now robs America's treasury, feeding its own, bankrupting the government while our troops go without armor and bullets, the basics. While our troops may be able to protect this country from terrorists outside the United States, who can protect us from the right-wing religious terrorists within our country? Who can protect us from the devils masquerading as angels of light? What's wrong with America? America has sold its soul for 30 pieces of silver. The plutocrats have hijacked the country and its piggy bank, and they did it all on the backs of the poor, the middle class, and the dead bodies coming home in flag-draped caskets. And we paid the entire bill. The fact that a fascist takeover can go on for nearly 4 years is a wake-up call that our government is broken and in need of repair. It's a warning that our form of government, even with all its built-in protections, is only as good as the people we trust to run it. Merely voting them out after 4 years of destruction isn't the answer. There must be a form of restitution possible and a way to head off fascist policies before they are forced into law by wicked people who care not one iota about the general welfare. The American people must become more demanding of the truth from elected officials and those running for office. And of course, Money must be taken out of politics. That's the job. Now, how do we go about getting the job done? The end.
Hi, this is William Morrow. Are you one of those people who join a health club, and after they have your big, overpriced annual membership, you notice that you're on your own with little or no results even after all the promises? Then the website Personal Trainer is for you.
Thank you very much, William H. Morrow III.
So you lost another argument with a conservative, right-wing Republican. He talked over you. He screamed and yelled. He brought out the Bible. He thumped it. He quoted scripture to you. You were lost because you came at him with facts. Nothing but facts. And you expected that would make you look good. That would make you win the argument, but it didn't. You know why you lost the argument? You know why you're going to lose your next argument? Because you don't read Censored. Censored, the 30-year-old newsletter that shows you how to defeat a conservative. Read Censored, and you'll have all the ammunition you need. Every time you get into an argument with a right-wing conservative, so-called Christian. Censored. That's all you need. Read it and defeat a conservative.
Greetings, listeners. Let me speak to you for a moment about the foundation of our entire organization, Newsletters Censored. It was founded by our mentor, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman, in 1977. It discusses the 5 taboos of American life: politics, religion, health, human sexuality, and child rearing. You won't find anything like this in the mainstream media and the press. It reveals the kind of truth that most people are afraid to hear. Can you handle it? We are living in the end times, so in order to defeat a conservative and save America, you need Newsletters Censored. Go to www.newslettercensored.com, click on the printable order form page, and with your gift to support this work, get your free annual subscription. This is James P. Madonna of Megalife 21, the hardest hitting internet talk radio station on the planet.